Welcome back, Trinidad and Tobago. I'm Hema Ramsden, and this is the Morning Brew, and we're celebrating women.
Yes.
We're on the eve of International Women's Day, and tomorrow there is a huge conference that's taking place, and Raquel Moses is on the line. We have Anushka Sami and Joycelyn Francois on set with us, and we're talking International Women's Day. Good morning, ladies. How are you all?
Good morning.
How are
we are
you?
excited.
Yes.
I think everyone is excited about all the celebrations,
Yes.
and I think that Raquel Moses is on the line. Miss Moses, good morning. How are you?
Morning, I'm very well, thanks.
Now, let me start with you, Raquel. International Women's Day. We're talking 50-50 by 2030, be bold for change, be extraordinary, all of these lovely hashtags that we're seeing emerging. What does International Women's Day mean to you on a personal level?
On a personal level, it means diversity. It means ensuring that women have equal opportunities and that the value in gender diversity, you know, in having equal opportunities for women, that organizations and the population as a whole get the benefit of that diversity. Because ACCA has done extensive studies, as have others, about the value to organizations and to societies of having that balance.
You know, talking about the research, I know that it's actually proven that companies globally that have the majority of their C-suite executives as females actually do better on a number of the productivity indices. Anushka Sami and Joycelyn Francois are also on set with us. Just let me ask you, on a level, what is International Women's Day? You said you're excited. We're talking on the eve. It's about the conference celebrating women.
Yes.
What does it mean to you?
Okay, for me, in the midst of, and I know that there has been a lot of improvement in terms of women issues, but in terms of some of the negative things that we're seeing being perpetrated against women, for me, the fact that we can recognize and highlight it, it means, for me, it gives me hope that change will take place or can take place. So that's for me the excitement, because it's painful to as I said, see some of the things that are being perpetrated against women, and you know, you're thinking that it's a more enlightened period that we are living in. So it's almost, you wonder if this is being orchestrated deliberately. You know, it's painful. So for me, the recognition of it just allows us to take stock, and it gives hope. Yes.
Why is the ACCA celebrating International Women's Day, Anushka?
Well, ACCA globally, we are having events in different countries. It's a first for us in the Caribbean, and we're really excited about it. It's an opportunity for us to bring a lot of different stakeholders together. We have our wonderful members like Joycelyn, Christine Sahadeo. Yesterday you had from KPMG, Stacey Ann Golding participating on our program. It's an opportunity for our members to give back to society. We've invited a number of schools and different institutions like the cadets, the police force, the fire services, St. Jude's. It's an opportunity for us to have the discussions, to support the young and upcoming women, and to just shine and be bold.
Shine and be bold. You know, Raquel, I had this conversation yesterday as well as today with our previous guest. We're talking on the theme 50-50 by 2030. How realistic is that for Trinidad and Tobago? And can we really achieve that? Do we need to legislate it? Is it a big stick approach? How can we achieve that?
You know, I think that's a really interesting point. I think that it is achievable. But what we would have learned in the last 20 years or so is that it doesn't happen automatically. So unless we start talking about the roles that women have to play in making this possible, and the roles that men have to play in making this possible, and the role that government has to play in making this possible, then it won't happen. So what we want is for the event tomorrow to be something that's solution-oriented, so that we talk about some practical things that we can do to be able to advance the cause, and to make sure that we continue to monitor and measure to ensure that we get there.
Monitoring and measuring. It's interesting because Joycelyn also holds the position as CEO of the ECA.
Yes.
50-50 by 2030. The statistics in the public sector, according to one of the papers I read, and that was dated 2014, in the public sector, we've made remarkable strides. We've also made remarkable strides in terms of we've used these fad words, we've also had a female prime minister. But in the private sector, the information seems to be a little skewed.
Well, in the private sector, and I can just give some quick and dirty, I would call it, information that I got from our database of close to 800 members. And companies where there were CEOs, 26% were women and 74%. So you have like a 26-74 ratio in terms of women to men. As I indicated earlier, when I looked at the HR managers, senior managers, etc., it was the reverse, 84% female and 16% male. So I think that there is work to be done. There's a lot of work to be done. And you spoke just now about legislating, and, you know, there has to be a commitment. In fact, there has to be an understanding. Raquel spoke about diversity. There has to be an understanding of the value that the women bring to the table. And I mean, ACCA, you know, as a qualification, the premier qualification for accountants, etc. I think that ACCA has taken that lead role to go forward and to show the value, talking financial,
right.
But that whole diversity, having more women can bring returns to the organization, and yeah.
Now, listening to this, Raquel, I want to ask you this. Is it that women are just not stepping up to the challenge? Because the cynics out there are going to say it's an equal playing field. May the best man or the best woman move forward. Is it that women are not choosing to accept these positions and we're making a big deal out of it? Why do we have the statistic of 74-24 in senior C-suite positions?
Yeah, you know, I don't think that that's the case at all. But I think that one of the ways that we're going to solve the problem is by women sort of, you know, being more aggressive about taking on these positions. But because we're in a position where 74% of the leadership position and even greater numbers of boards are made up of men, for women to make it to the C-suite, it will take a concerted effort to get them there. But I think that we have to start exposing the sort of all boys network and make sure that women do get that chance to move into the leadership role. And we want to help women prepare themselves to seize the opportunities when they come about.
What was your greatest challenge in preparing for a C-suite position as a woman?
For me, it's, you know, when you read all of the studies about women and their journey to leadership, a lot of times women doubt themselves that they're ready. Men tend to be overconfident, whereas women tend to be underconfident. For me, it was about just trusting myself, trusting my education, trusting my preparation, trusting my mentors, and just taking that leap and knowing, you know what, worst come to worst, you would have had an experience and you would have learned something from it.
I want to ask you that question as well, Joycelyn.
Yes.
You know, I know that you're actively involved in the ECA.
Yes.
So obviously you are exposed to the complaints that women make. And I want to ask you the same question. Is it that women are just not stepping up? They're just not saying, you know what, I am going to throw my resume, throw my hat in the ring and say, I want to be considered for this C-suite position?
No, that is not so. In fact, when we look at the resumes, because we do recruitment as well,
right.
and when we look at the resumes coming in, I think resumes for most of the positions in management and senior management, I would say as much, maybe about 80% are females, are from females. So it's not that women are not throwing their hats in the ring. That's not the issue. We have to be straight and honest and talk about there is a glass ceiling. There are some hidden reasons, which I guess we have to do research and find out, you know, and bring it to the fore.
Do you feel like there's an all boys club that still exists in our society, in Caribbean societies?
For me, personally,
Absolutely.
I think yes.
I think Raquel, absolutely.
No question about it. It's yes.
You know, and Raquel, because I have to ask you this, because a lot of people are looking at this, and because you look at the MBA classes and you look at all of the educational data coming out, women are outnumbering the men. They are outperforming.
Outperforming as well.
What do you think, looking at the all boys club, is it that women are simply just window dressing to say, well, let me tick this box. There is a female senior executive in my company, so I'm gender sensitive. Is it that women are just not put in positions to influence the change and to be the movers, the shakers, and the outliers?
So when you look at, like, in the U.S., for the last 30 years, women have outnumbered men in terms of college education. So it means that the issue isn't that women aren't becoming educated. I think there are some inherent biases that exist, and until we start talking about it and HR managers and senior managers and boards start to really understand the inherent biases that exist against women, then we will not be able to address it. But I think women also need to be aware of these biases and to be able to challenge at every stage. And again, it's not about fairness as much as it should be about fairness. It really is about, as a fragile Caribbean economy, these are some of the ways that we can quickly advance, because if we have more productive companies, we have a more productive society, and we are able to compete on the world stage.
Right, what are some of the biases you took? And I'm going to ask the three of you. What are some of the biases that you think that we're afraid to address, or that women just sort of either accept or have to just pretend that they don't exist? What are some of the biases?
When you talk to people who hire, and they say, why did you choose this candidate versus another candidate? Many times they see themselves in the candidate. And it's a lot easier to see yourself in a candidate that is more like you. And so because men hold most of the positions of power and make many of those decisions, they tend to infer things upon the people that they're hiring. And they're like, I understand this guy, I know what he's doing, and sometimes they think about, well, she's around that age where she should be starting a family, maybe this isn't a good time that other people need to make.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know that both guests on set have nodded on that, and Justin, I'm going to ask you that. You work with the ACCA CEO, so you are part of the recruitment process.
Yes.
What are the biases that you know that exist and that you have faced yourself?
I think the competence issue, I think the men believe that women are more emotional. And I think you tend to hear that sort of thing. So the reason for choosing the men over the women, women tend to be a little emotional. I think also the issue that Raquel spoke about, the reality of the fact that women have to do families, responsibilities, that sort of thing. Those things are looked at as disruptions, and therefore, but the fact is that, and I'm saying this, that women work longer hours. The studies have shown probably work harder, yes. But on average, or in general, the idea that there are many interruptions that would probably hinder productivity, when the fact is, I think it's the opposite.
Nashka, what are some of the biases you have faced? You're a younger woman, obviously, entering in a very professional environment.
Definitely faced challenges where persons have said, you're at the age where you may be looking to start a family, and how will you cope with travel? How will you cope with a demanding schedule? So for me, it's really been about selling yourself so well in that interview that you have the opportunity to get in there and show them really what you can do.
It is about selling self. Raquel, tomorrow's...
And if I can speak for Anushka, she's amazing.
Thank you.
Raquel, in terms of tomorrow's conference, you have some of the, biggest names. The women are coming out to be part of this initiative. What is going to make this conference different to any other conference celebrating International Women's Day tomorrow?
Well, we want to pick something to act on, to leave that conference with an action, so that when we leave with that action and we're talking about, so what happened between 2017 and 2018? How did you move this issue forward? We can point to something that we did that was tangible.
Justin, what would happen for you to consider tomorrow as a success, and what would you say to all of the women out there? Why should they attend this?
Okay, one of the things I should probably quickly mention, one of the things, about 16 years ago, I was looking for advancement, my own personal. And that's when I looked at a number of options, and I selected the ACCA. The ACCA allows a lot of flexibility. The ACCA gives you a great platform, etc. I want to sort of say that the ACCA taking the lead in terms of having, I guess, making women, empowering women, making them bold. For me, women leaving there feeling that level of confidence about their ability, ability to achieve, etc., I think that would be success in my book. Because the ACCA has led me to be successful because of the confidence that they have instilled and imbued in me by virtue of the qualifications.
Anushka, the details of the conference, what can we look forward to in the conference?
Okay, so we have a really diverse panel of women, our ACCA members representing different parts of the Caribbean. So we have Christine Sahadio, who was a former minister in government. We have Carol Ulithair Jean-Marie, she's the interim CEO of First Citizens Investment Barbados. She's actually St. Lucian. KPMG partner, Stacey Ann Golding. She's of course Jamaican. And we have a motivational speaker, Okosua Dardin Edwards. She will be giving a presentation as well. And of course, Raquel, and I can't leave out that the chair for the event is indeed Hema Ramkissoon. So thank you so much for agreeing to participate and to be there, you know, because you yourself are such an inspiration to a lot of young women. So we really are looking forward to tomorrow, to having those conversations, to interacting with the young persons in the room. And we, from the beginning, we've encouraged women and men to attend. It's going to be a mixed audience tomorrow. Persons, we still have some spaces, so persons can contact our office at 662-1639 or email us at info@wi.accaglobal.com.
And I want to make an appeal to everyone to please support this initiative, and also to the men as well. Get involved, because change cannot happen without the support of everyone. Raquel, you have the final word this morning as the portfolio head. What do you want to say to Trinidad and Tobago about this conference? Tomorrow we celebrate the achievements of women. We're working on the theme 50-50 by 2030. What do you want to say to Trinidad and Tobago?
I'd like to see you tomorrow. That's what I'd like to say to Trinidad and Tobago. I'd like to see you tomorrow. And, you know, it's not about women's issues. It's about human issues. None of us could be here today without a woman being a part of our process. And so what I'd like for us to do is to have a more successful society, and talking about issues of diversity and the achievements of women will help us to get there.
Definitely, Raquel. And I know, Anushka, you have...
Yes, just one final thing. I want to thank our sponsors for the event. We have KPMG, First Citizens. We also have National Gas Company of Trinidad and Tobago and Coach Trinidad and Tobago Limited.
So definitely come out and support, and Trinidad and Tobago, I want to see you there. I'm going to be there, so hopefully I'll see you too. We take a short break. When we come back, we'll have more for you. Stay with us.